What's up, do-it-yourselfers? Thanks for tuning in to Small Engine Repair Channel, where our main goal is to make sure you know that you have the ability to fix or repair whatever you want to take on.
Alright, welcome to this episode of Why This Snowblower Will Not Start. Hey, thanks for checking it out, guys. Sorry it's a couple days late this week, but I feel it's going to be worth your while. We're going to start by inspecting this thing, and we're going to go over real-life reasons why these snowblowers will not start. We're going to first check the skids here. As you guys can see, the skids are all worn on this thing because it was sitting way too low. The scraper bar was scraping into the ground. It's all balled up. We're going to set that in the very end. Make sure you stay tuned on how we set those professionally for asphalt. And as you see here, guys, this is what we tell people on our work orders. And if the gas is bad, nothing else matters, guys. I mean, I can't get over that. That's the main reason I put this on these work orders, is you want to try to start these things once every 30 days. I can go on the scientific reasons as to why, but if you really want to know why, leave it in the comments and I'll answer it. We're going to get on to disassembly here. This is a Craftsman Quiet style snowblower. It's one of the most biggest pain in the asses to take apart, in my opinion. And yeah, so that's why we kind of made a video on this one. We will be making a video next week on a Cub Cadet. It's a little easier to work on, and it won't be 30 minutes long, hopefully. So as you guys can see here, I'm just starting by removing the tank bolts. They're just 10mm headed bolts. And I'm not actually going to remove the tank completely off this thing, and the reason why is because Craftsman gives us absolutely no extra fuel line. And so anyways, it's going to be too tight to take off, and we're just going to leave the thing kind of on. Right here, I didn't get a very good job of clipping that, but I take a little bar, or you can take a screwdriver, and I hit that with a hammer, and that releases the throttle, little throttle handle off of the slide or off of the main metal holder that holds the throttle on. So moving on to the other side of the shrouding here, we're going to remove the electrical starter box just to release the shroud basically. Here's how the choke knob releases, just two little screwdrivers. I call them regular. Some dill holes call them flat blades, but I call them regulars. And yeah, you can pry them right off. And then we're going to move into a little bit of tool cleanup here. Just something I like to do is keep a clean shop. And we're going to move on to getting this shroud removed so we can get down to the actual carburetor on this thing and get to a full fuel system overhaul. Bad gas and moisture is what causes this, guys. And basically right smack dab in the middle of the carburetor is where it plugs up. So we're going to keep going. We're removing the choke linkage. I've used a fuel line block there to just block the fuel line, so that way we're not draining stinky old gas all over my bench that I get to smell all day. But yeah, no big deal there. And we're going to remove the intake off next. And we're basically getting down to where we can pull this carburetor off to remove the clogged jets that it has. And right now I'm working on the PVC breather that is attached to the valve cover. I'm going to remove it from the valve cover side, as it's just a little easier to get in there rather than behind all the shrouding. And as you can see, it's just a little clip right on a barb fitting on the valve cover, and boom, the intake will come off at that point. Did you notice snowblowers don't have air filters, guys? None of them do. I've never seen one with an air filter. And the reason for that is there's no dust in the snow, basically. So can't think of a reason why you'd want an air filter on one, because it would just get saturated in water and choke out after a while. So we're going to keep going on to fuel line removal. As you can see, there are nice engineers at Craftsman put the fuel line on in the most awesomest spot on how to get it. So you have to get it to where you can actually get your pliers on it, which we did there. And we just had a little bit of fuel leak out of the hose, which was in between the clamp and the end. No big deal. Removing the governor linkage. This just releases just like any other one. Go to full wide open throttle, kind of bend the pin a little bit, and boom, it releases along with the spring. We're going to take the carb, put it on the bench, and then we're going to drain this old 3-year-old fuel out of this snowblower here. And the way I do that is I'm going to hook a slightly smaller hose into my fuel line. Then I'm going to go ahead and put that into a bucket, release my fuel line block, and drain it right into the bucket. As you guys can see, I'm going to zoom in right here. So this should basically, if you guys watch this entire video, it should eliminate all cold start issues. It should eliminate anything going on with your snowblower. So unless you have a spark issue or valve issues, which is very rare from what I've seen with snowblowers, especially newer ones, this is pretty much the only thing I see go on with them. We do about 10 of these a day sometimes, this same exact repair. So just removing the bottom bolt or drain bolt out of the bowl there, draining the old fuel out of the carb. As you can see, it was kind of brown, had some chunks in it, nothing too crucial, nothing too bad, but these things do plug pretty darn easily. And as you guys will see how clean that fuel did look compared to some, the stuff that we're about to see in this bowl is basically why it would not start. And so removing the bottom bolt out of the bowl here, gonna pop it off, and boom, we're gonna see chunks in this thing. Pointed out with the wrench there, and that's just moisture starting to ferment, guys. And it's weird, I don't see this exact failure in anything else in this clogged emulsion tube here. It clogged that's the main jet we're pointing out first. We're gonna go ahead and take that out, and I don't see too many float needles sticking. However, this float in this needle in this carburetor was pretty darn varnished, so we're gonna go over cleaning that. But these clogged emulsion tubes are 99% of what I see snowblowers come in for, and they clog right in the very, very, very top of the emulsion tube. So you have to dissect this carburetor almost completely, basically. Well, not basically, you do have to dissect this carburetor completely to get this emulsion tube out. And the way I get them out when they don't come out by banging on them by force or by, vibration, is I stick a screwdriver right down the Ventura, and I press down, and boom, as you can see, it pops it right out there. And there's our blockage, folks. Let's just take a gander at it. As you can see, we can't see nothing through this emulsion tube. So we're gonna keep on, and like I said, this thing, I generally don't see float issues with these things, but with the condition of fuel that I did see come out of it, we wanted to go ahead and check the float and needle as well, and I'm really glad I did, because as you guys will see here in just a second, the needle was very varnished. And I'm gonna go over a real super easy tip and how to clean these things. So it's very basic, and it requires basically no tools except for a little bit of brake clean and a Q-tip, which you will see here. I just saturate the Q-tip and brake clean, go right down the needle, and I clean until you can't see residue anymore. As you guys will see, I speed up the footage here just because it took a little time, but it'll come out brown for a while, and I will not stop until it's clean. And that's how I clean out needles, and I've done thousands of them that way, so that's how I do them. So the seats, I shouldn't have said needles. Sorry guys, I'm pretty darn tired today. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and pull the actual needle off the float now, not the seat. And as you can see, it had some white crust on it. I literally just cleaned this off with the shop towel and some brake clean. I think I even used my shirt here in a second. Yep, sure enough, there we go. And it just wipes it right off. And basically, I'm gonna zoom in here in a second, and you can see all the residue is off, and that's it. If you don't do this, there's a good shot you're gonna leak fuel everywhere along the along the journey of your snowblower storage. These needles, if they have varnishment on them at all, with weather change and temperature fluctuation, temperature will create pressure change basically, and yeah, you will get blow by in your carburetor, and these things will leak if you don't make sure they are nice and clean when you put them back together. So that's why I do this. Going on to float assembly. Not super big there, just put the needle in the float, put the float down in the carb, put the pin in the carb, boom. We're gonna zoom in and you guys will actually see this blockage come out in just a second. This emulsion tube, like I said, is 95% of what I see problems on snowblowers come in, guys. Except for the new Aaron GF5, which that's a whole nother conversation. When you sell a snowblower that requires a charger that doesn't charge itself, but you require the client or customer to buy the charger that you don't sell with the machine. Anyways, not this machine, however. We're gonna go back to what we're actually working on. So cleaning this gunk out of the emulsion tube, guys. Look at this. Look at that crap. Yeah. Here's the fix, and here's why it works. Because it removes the crap out of it. As you guys can see here, if you can't get anything through this emulsion tube, when it's blocked like that, it's not going to run. This is your main passageway for fuel. It goes through the main jet, it then nozzles through all these little holes in the emulsion tube, which goes through the idle circuit, etc., and then comes up through the main nozzle, which I'm scraping out here, into the Ventura, which then mixes with air and goes into the engine. So if this is clogged, you're not getting any fuel. You're basically just airing it out. And so why snowblowers clog exactly right here, I haven't come up with that one yet. I can literally tell you though, I'm not even joking, I've seen thousands of these block in the exact same spot. Doesn't matter brand, doesn't matter size, doesn't matter age. If it's float bowl carb and it is on an overhead valve engine and you have a gravity fed fuel system, these things block right here. And I don't know, maybe it's because they don't have an air filter, but as you guys can see here, I'm just taking a little pick, nothing super crucial here, and just getting all that crud out of the emulsion tube. And this did take a little bit of time on this one. This one was pretty darn blocked. 3 years was a pretty good blockage. I was gonna say for 3 years, it's generally speaking, they don't get this blocked, but it was pretty darn blocked. So who knows if this guy was exaggerating. We zoomed into a little bit of blowage out there that we saw. As you guys can see, it let out a little what I call snot rocket out of there. Pretty gross, I know, but that's what they call. So we're gonna go through this thing methodically, and we're just basically making sure that all of our fuel passages are clean. But like I said, I've been through enough to where I know pretty much where they block up now, but I still go through all the nooks and crannies of these carburetors. We're gonna go through the pilot jet next here in a second, and you're gonna have to pardon me, I'm gonna drink some water here. But it's a 30-minute voiceover, and my mouth was getting dry. Cleaning the main jet here. Generally, I don't have to use a pick on these. This one I did. Usually my little chunk of wire works just fine, and yeah, I had to get the whole jet cleaning kit out on this one. You guys are gonna see here the jet cleaners came out here. Yeah, all of them came out. So pay attention to this detail here, guys, because if this main jet is not the right size, or if it has any blockage in it at all, your machine's gonna surge. It's gonna do pop, bang, and boom. It's gonna make all sorts of weird running issues, and you want to make sure this jet is as clean as possible. You don't want to drill it, and the reason why is because you don't want them to run rich. These things already run pretty darn rich compared to most items on the market, and that's okay because they run in really cold weather, and you can really make them run too rich real easy by drilling these jets. Ask me how I know. So as you can see, I got my cleaner kit here out too, and the reason why is because I wanted to make sure this main jet was exactly what I just explained. It's as clear as possible without oversizing it, and these little cleaner tools work the best for that. So here's the good news, is this is an easy fix with a little bit of basic tools and a little bit of knowledge. I think pretty much at home can fix one of these snow blowers in their garage, and that is the main reason I'm making this video, guys, is because I hope nobody gives me crap about this, but we charge about $150 for this. And this video, yes, 30 minutes, but honestly this procedure takes me about an hour and a half, and that's not to mention the time it takes to write the customer up, call them and quote them, yada yada yada. So yeah, I'm just trying to save people money here. I know everybody doesn't have that, and we do appreciate the folks that do. We completely love our local clientele here, and we are beyond busy in our shop, and we're very thankful for that. But if you don't have the means to pay somebody to fix your snowblower and it's snowing in your area, this video should help you out, because if you haven't started your snowblower in over a month and it's not starting now, this is I can almost guarantee this is why, this whole deal right here. So we're gonna moving on to assembly here, guys, and basically it's exactly how we took it apart. We're gonna put the bowl, make sure the gasket's good. We're just gonna start assembling up here, and it's not super hard on these things at all. They're just basically a float bowl carburetor, and they're gravity fed. They're not EFI like I was talking about that other brand's joke of a machine that they put out, that they sell a product that, anyways, fuel injection on a snowblower is just a stupid idea. Batteries in cold weather don't make sense. Anyways, just keep it simple, guys. And most companies do. These Craftsman's, these Cub Cadets, any of the Home Depot or box store brands, they're all pretty much carbureted still. I like it like that. We're gonna set our idle here, guys, and putting our idle screw back in. We're gonna move on to pilot jet cleaning. But what I was pointing out there is you want to pay attention to how many threads when you take your idle screw out as to where it was at. If you want your idle set to where it was, it's not super crucial if you're on like a fixed throttle machine, but on this particular one where you can set the thing down to idle and you want to talk to your neighbor or something, you may want your idle set to where it was. So we removed the pilot jet there. As you can see, we do have a little bit of brown fuel in the carb or in the pilot circuit. Easy way to remove it here is just basically use a little air pressure, use a little brake clean it on out. So nothing crucial here. If you guys got questions on this thing, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I would be more than happy to answer your questions for you on your snowblower, but the Tecumsehs, the older L heads, are a little bit different than that, and I do get quite a few of those in still, and if I will be making a video on those pretty easily. I know there's a couple other videos out there like them, but I don't feel that anybody's done a good job on dissecting those carburetors yet, and in my opinion, those carburetors are pretty easy to work on. The problem is the parts are getting hard to find for them, but anything, these Craftsmans and Cubs and Aaron's, and there'll be parts around for these guys for a long time. So anything modern, we'll probably keep working on now, but that older stuff, if you got questions, leave it in the comments. Once again, we'll do that. So moving on to carb assembly and pilot jet cleaning. This is just a little chunk of wire that I use, guys, and if you're watching this video regularly with all our other videos, you've probably seen this tip over and over again, because I do this tip a lot, and hopefully you're not getting sick of it, but it's literally something I do every day. Is I take a little bit of wire and go through a pilot jet, clean a little bit of crap out, and as you guys can see here, there was enough crap in there to where I had to get my other jet cleaner just to push it out, and I just did that so I can kind of demonstrate. But we're going to pump a little brake clean through this thing, just make sure it's flowing good. If it comes out both orifices there, just like it did, we're good. Blow a little air pressure one more time just to make sure we got a good clear passage through that. And the reason is, guys, this hole in that jet is so little, it can plug so easy, and this will cause a massive surge or a run scenario in your machine if it's not cleaned right. So this is something you don't want to miss when you're taking your snowblower apart. I know I said it in a previous video that 90% of the techs I've worked with miss this, and I'll say it again. Some of them do, some of them don't. I'm going to leave it at that, but you don't need a new carburetor if your machine's surging. You can probably fix it right there. It doesn't matter if it's a mower, snowblower, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and get our drain bolt back in. That way, when we put fuel back in this thing here in a second, it don't leak all over my shop. So moving on to installation onto the machine. We wanted to make sure that we just paid attention to how the choke linkages came off on this thing. I have had these just kind of come apart before and not paid attention, but they won't go back together right and won't operate right if you don't put it back together right. So they only go back together one way. As far as the choke goes and the governor linkage, make sure you don't pop it out of the governor arm, but yeah, super easy. Just pop it back in just like we popped it back out here, guys. So I probably will be a little quiet here and just let you guys watch assembly, and yeah, just kind of go as far as what we did is taking it apart. Not too crucial here, just putting it back together. So getting our Z-rod or Z-notch into our choke linkage there. Making sure the choke linkage is on the right side of the fuel line. I'm gonna hook the linkage up before getting it onto the studs. Makes it almost impossible if you do it the other way. Intake on. PVC breather on the valve cover. And nuts onto intake. Nuts onto intake. Come on down. All right. We're not tightening these things down to 40 foot-pounds or nothing, guys. They just need to come up snug. As you can see, that's a plastic intake manifold or a polymer. So that is It doesn't need to be, you know, strong arm man tight or nothing. And this carburetor is going onto, or has a little plastic heat block in between it and the aluminum head. So these threads are just basic, you know, baby threads. So they're nothing needs to be super tight here. I think I have my gun set at like a 14 or 16 setting. If I was at the drill setting, it'd probably rip these threads right off. So just another little tech tip there. Keep going on to hose installation. I'm going to go ahead and hook my spark plug back up while I'm here. I'm going to put some fuel in this thing just to make sure I don't have any leaks before I put all my shrouding on. I cannot tell you how frustrating it can be when you get a machine all put back together and you get leaks out of it and you get to pull all the shrouding back off. So my big advice with anyone, especially if this is your first time, if you didn't get your float bowl gasket right or anything, put some fuel in this thing, take the fuel line block off, watch for at least a minute or two just to make sure you don't have any leaks anywhere before going on to what we're going to do next here, and which is shroud installation. Nothing extravagant, just hooking everything up just as far as how we took it off. So making sure there are different length bolts in the areas where you took them out. Make sure those bolts go in the exact same spot that you took them out. The Cub Cadets are very crucial in this. I know I've mentioned that brand quite a bit in this video, but I work on a lot of those as well. Those are the ones that stick out to mind the most. I think these Craftsman bolts are pretty similar for the most part, but if you have different length bolts in different length areas, you definitely want to make sure you put those in the correct area so nothing's hitting, rubbing, or doing anything it shouldn't be. There's a reason those length bolts are where they're at. So putting the tank bolts back on here. Once again, I think my impact gun set at like a 14 or a 16. Nothing too tight here at all. They just need to come up to where they stop basically, or snug. And I want to say like maybe 12 foot-pounds or something like that. Just nothing real extravagant at all. So definitely less than 144 inch-pounds for sure. Alright, we're going to put our choke linkage on. Oh, we got one more bolt in the shroud there. As you guys can see here too, these things take 5W30. And the reason is because they're running cold weather. If you put any thicker, like a 10W40 or anything thicker than that in them, they don't like it at all. They're just a splash system. They're not pressurized or anything. And so the thicker the oil, the longer it takes to lubricate when it is cold. So we're moving on to the throttle installation onto the throttle slide. It just slides on there, and then I'll give it a little bang just to make sure it seats up tight. Same thing with the choke knob. It's just going to slide on to only one way onto the actual choke assembly there, or choke linkage assembly, and it just pops on. Take a rubber mallet. We're going to put our key in, guys, and I think we're going to go turn the fan on in the shop here, and then we are going to go start this thing. This is basically what I do every time before starting a piece of machinery here, is plugging in this fan just to kind of keep some airflow through this thing, and also pulls the exhaust fumes out. You know, we got like the You guys can see here she was smoking a little bit, and the reason was we're going to move on to it next, but it was a little over full on oil. I'm not sure why clients seem to always think they need to add a little oil for some reason. So we're going to move on in here. I'm going to zoom in on the dipstick here, guys, and it's not going to be super easy to see because the oil was brand new, but it was way over full. So especially after I got it warm, I figured it'd be a lot easier to drain once it warmed up too. So yeah, checking it multiple times here just to make sure it is as over full as I think it is, and it's not just a fluke. I'm also sniffing it for fuel. There is a possibility that there was fuel in here because of how varnished that needle was, but after smelling the oil, guys, and after seeing how brand new the oil looked while draining it here, there was no need to drain all of it. It was still brand new oil. So we just drained it down to the adequate level here. I'm going to check it one more time. And the way you get one to quit smoking here, folks, is basically get it to the adequate level, fire it back up, let it smoke until it burns off. There's your additional tech tip of the day. So we're going to move on to servicing and setting the scraper. We're going to be setting for asphalt in this video. If you guys want to know how to set one up for gravel, let me know. I can do that. But basically, you'd be raising your skids all the way to the highest setting as they would go, and even sometimes that's not enough. And if you can see here, if your scraper bar is not set right, you're basically just going to wear your scraper bar out. And I've seen these set so wrong and so incorrectly to where they wear the scraper bar completely and then start eating the auger box, guys, and I can't tell you how expensive that is. So there's a reason why they put these little 15, or I don't know how much these little skid shoes are, 15 I think a shoe or something like that, but these little skids, there's a reason why they put it on there, and it's because they're a wear item. It's a lot cheaper for these little shoes than it is for an entire auger box when it wears out. So as you can see, this one was set way incorrectly. These shoes should not have been wearing that bad at all. This thing was scraping and trying to dig into the ground where it shouldn't have been. So we're gonna set it at what I call 3/16 or 1 chainsaw bar height, and that basically leaves just a little tiny thin blanket of snow on the ground and allows these skids to do their job while allowing the scraper to scrape up any snow that it's going to leave. But if you got any small cinders on your sidewalk or anything, setting it at this height will allow you not to just be picking up rocks the entire time. But it's still going to be low enough to where you don't even notice it when you walk right behind your machine. And if you get a little bit of sunlight out within 30 minutes, wherever you just snow blew, setting it at this height, you're basically clearing it to bare asphalt or bare concrete wherever you did it. So if you go deeper in this to where it's just scraping it completely dry off the ground, you're wearing your machine out. I'll argue with you on that. You don't need to set any lower. It's like running a dull chainsaw. You're just running your harder, you're running your machine harder. You're costing yourself more in parts, and if you like spending more in parts, then go ahead and don't set your skids. That's fine. But setting your skids like this will save you time, will save you money, and honestly, you'll leave a lot better finish when you're snow blowing too. So as you can see here, we're right on the bar here, guys, and I'm going to remove the bar here now. And yeah, the pins in this thing looked alright. The auger in this thing looked alright. Overall, this machine still looked pretty fairly new. It just looked like it had been basically bought from the store and ran a couple times harshly and put away and never used again. So we're going to move on to the very last thing, which this machine absolutely did not need, but I want you guys to know, which is belt inspection. And there's only 2 belts on these snowblowers. They're all ran about the same. It's a 3/8 socket. And we're going to go right through the top cover here, and it's right in the middle. The bolt I just pointed out is on this side, and the other bolt is on the other side. It's real easy to pull this cover off, and then we're going to inspect the belts. You got one little belt that inspects or drives the traction. It basically goes down to the friction wheel and moves that plate. The second belt spins the auger, and both of them have tensioners, and you want to make sure they're not cracked. So snowblower belts do like to crack. The augers will crack a lot more prematurely than the traction belt, because the traction belt, as you can see there, is thinner, but it is permanently engaged. The auger belt engages every time you engage and disengage the auger. It's basically moving it in there. So that engagement's right where my thumb was there. We're going to go back and just put this cover back on, guys. Belt inspection over. No cracks, no aging found. So yeah, 3/8 bolt or 3/8 headed bolt going onto the other side, putting that one on too. Nothing too crucial here. It can be kind of hard to get down in there, guys. I use a long extension to go right by the chute, and as you guys can see here, just my thumb, my hand, slowly, and I do my little Milwaukee gun, makes it a little easier. And then yeah, you want to make sure you don't cross thread here and just go right into it. Once again, these things don't have to be 40-50 foot-pounds, guys. This just needs to come down, stop, and be done. So we are about to wrap up this snowblower service, guys. I think we're going to move on to operation here at the very end. I cannot figure out which camera angle I want to use here, so let's just move the camera all around the shop while at it at the very end. And so yeah, we sure appreciate you watching. If you stuck around this long, I sure hope you found anything useful out of this. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends about us. We're trying to take over the world of small engine repair of this channel. So yeah, once again, thanks guys. I'm going to shut up and let you guys watch this thing operate. So Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.